All right. Excitement is not the word. It's just amazement and unexpectedly, how can I say it? I mean, I am now working like 16-hour days, and I was just got off a phone call to say that I was up until 3:30 a.m. last night speaking to Germany and Australia about some things, and then had to get up in the morning, not only to see patients, but to be on a 10 o'clock Zoom call, and my head is exploding at this point in time, but it's great. This is a dream come true for me. I have been in practice now, June will be 43 years, the first half of which was in functional medicine, orthomolecular medicine, and then about 1999, I had been kind of dabbling in frequency medicine in Germany and Austria in the mid-'80s, but really officially got involved full force in around 1999 when I was introduced to a frequency device that was developed actually by NASA. And when I saw the capabilities of what it did, I said, oh my God, I have to have this in my practice. This is amazing. If this really works, it's like a life changer. And sure enough, I brought it into my practice, and now having seen over 20,000 patients using that device, I am an absolute believer in terms of frequency medicine, what it can do, how it can, analyze a person and the results of treatment in every condition you can imagine. So I had a dream, and my dream was that somewhere, sometime, somebody would come up with the great idea of being able to miniaturize the $35,000 device that I have in my office and make it available, that I'd be able to give it to a patient when they left and say to them, well, since you come to me on a regular basis, what if I now tell you what it is you can do on your own in your home when you leave here, so that when you come back to see me again for a return visit, the work will have been continued and it'll be easier to work with you. And I was like, wow, if this could only happen, it would be a real game changer. And sure enough, back in November, it was a magical experience, but it showed up kind of very interestingly to me. Immediately contacted the company in Germany because they had no contact whatsoever into the United States. Told them who I was, what my background and experience was, and said, I've been looking for something like this. And they said, well, how opportune is this? We've been looking for a doctor in the United States that was educated enough and had enough experience in this field that would be able to work with us to really bring this in a big way. And so they sent me the device, and I began to use it immediately. And all I could say is that each time I use it, I'm kind of like thinking to myself, this is impossible, but it's true, because the results that I'm getting with sometimes just one session on patients is so off the charts and unbelievable. It's I can't even put it into words. So you can hear that I'm at a loss right now. It's certainly changed my life. 20 years ago, was in a major car accident. I almost didn't survive it, but thank God I did. In the process of that, I remember having a near-death experience, and I heard the voice saying to me, your work is not done. You have a lot more to do. You have a lot more people to heal and take care of. And I, survived it. But I was left with a chronic condition in my right foot of pretty significant neuropathy and something called RSD. And I've been, because I'm in the know of how to deal with patients, I pretty much put it into a place where it was adaptable and something that I could deal with on a daily basis without having to take medication. And I got it to be maybe, 80% handled in that way, but it was always there every day. I mean, I can't stand on wooden floors or tile floors or any hard surfaces or anything of that nature without feel like I'm walking on hot coals. But what really got to be scary is in the last year and a half, I haven't been able to drive my car, because what happened is that with the neurological inflammatory process here, it started interfering with the proprioception of my foot, whereas I wasn't able to distinguish the brake pedal from the gas pedal. And sometimes my foot literally was like lost, dangling in the air when I was coming to a red light. And it was like, holy S, what do I do? So at that point, I said, you know what, it isn't worth it anymore, because I was in one major car accident where I almost got killed, and I don't want to have another one and then also hurt somebody else. So I started taking Ubers and Lyfts, And when I got the device, I figured the first way to test this out was to use it on myself. And so I looked through the programs and I saw there were some programs that work with the nervous system and neurological. And I knew my issue ultimately, you know, when you're dealing with neuropathy, it ultimately is a neurological issue. And so I ran the programs for the neurological balance in the evenings while I was watching TV. I ran both programs. They were about 50 minutes each one night, and then I repeated it the second night, and I repeated it the third night. And on the fourth morning, I woke up, and guess what? My feet were different. And you can tell instantaneously. If you have neuropathy, the first thing you do when you wake up is you feel your feet. And I woke up, and it was like, is this? And I got out of bed, and I went in to take a shower on my tiled floor, my tiled shower floor. And usually I try to get in and out as quickly as I possibly can because it's really uncomfortable. And I was on the floor there going like, whoa, I don't feel this at all. This is crazy. And so next day, wake up, same situation. Third day, wake up, same situation. I said, wow, if this is possible of what this has done for me, imagine the potential here for people all over the world. And then I said to a friend, you know what? I'm going to put it to its test. You willing to be the passenger in my car? Let's go out for a drive. You know I can't drive, but let's go out for a drive. And I went out with him for a drive, and it was like, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. And to this day, I can drive an hour, 2 hours, you know, by myself anywhere. Whereas a year ago, or even like I should say, before November, I couldn't even drive down the street. I mean, it was that scary for me to drive from my house down the street. I'd always be panicked that I couldn't get onto the brake before I got to a stop sign or a red light. It just wouldn't happen. And to this day, I've only used it that 3 times, and the condition is completely reversed. I've used it in some other conditions for myself and other patients. Similar results, similar response, immediate, 1 session many times, woke up with the flu about a month ago, was out in the rain, got cold, woke up 101 fever, chills, headaches, the whole works, lying in bed, canceled my patients for the day, thinking like, all right, so this will be another 5 to 7 to 10 days possibly. Pulled out the Healy, hooked it up, ran the cold and flu program. Healy has a very, very special part of it, which Ken will talk about, the new concept of what is now being called the future of medicine, which is called electroceuticals. If you haven't heard about it before, Google it. It's been in every big magazine in the last 6 months. Scientific American, Time, Newsweek as the future of medicine. The ability to deliver substances like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, drugs, via electrical impulses as opposed to taking it orally. I ran the vitamin D frequency. I ran the zinc frequency. Cold and flu balance, and by 7 o'clock that night, I was out with friends having dinner, 0 symptoms. Ordinarily, that would have taken me somewhere between 5 and 10 days to resolve. So those are the kinds of stories and the kinds of situations that are occurring here, and it is amazing, and I can't wait for everyone else out there to have their own so that they can come up with their own personal testimonials. But this, guys, is a total changer. It's going to turn the responsibility of health back into the patient's hands, which should have always been. And
so, what are some of the applications? Here's a series of surveys that I found very interesting. Most applications are used on pain and regeneration and health prevention and stress and things of that nature. So it's being used across the board for a lot of different things. You can see those results right there. The frequency of use is 80% daily, 90% as daily or as required, and with lesser percentages as you go down the chart there. So they're using it as they see fit in those cases. Now here's a survey of effectiveness. How well is it working on them? You can see the figures right there. 96% of the people are saying it's working on them. Only 4% said no change. 4%. Show me a product that works 96% of the time on the market today. That's an astounding percentage. I'm excited about that just from a marketer's perspective. And then here's another survey on the number of applications that it takes per issue. And it's anywhere from 1 to 10 or more, depending upon the person's health. I mean, obviously, younger, healthier people that are on good diets don't need it nearly as much, maybe only for occasionally for pain. But those of us who are older and maybe not so healthy, it may take a little more use. But here's another big one. 94% that have used this product would recommend it to friends and family. That is stout. So, welcome to Healy World.